Om. कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीकिर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणम् शृण्वन्नाम कथानादं को न याति परां गतिम् यः पिबन् सततं रामचरितामृतसागरम् अतृप्तस्तं मुनिं वन्दे प्राचेतसमकल्मषम् कौष्पदीकृतवाराशिं मशकीकृतराक्षसं रामायणमहामाला रत्नं वन्दे नीलात्मजम् अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशम् अक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करं मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूतमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारी परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकं वाल्मीकिगिरिसम्भूता रामसागरगामिनी पुनादिभुवनं पुण्या रामायणमहानदी वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदप्राचेतसादासीद् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना आपतामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः मङ्गलं कौसलेन्द्राय महनीय गुणाब्धये चक्रवर्ती तनूजाय सार्वभौमाय मङ्गलम्. It is said in the Indian literature, the nature reflects man. The nature is none other than the moods of human mind. Just like there is summer, there is rainy season, winter, spring. We also in our minds or in life situations, we go through various kinds of changes. Without those changes which are unavoidable, there cannot be any real physical growth or progress. As even a child, when it becomes older, you can see significant changes in the child's personality, the child's attitude, the way of behavior, interactions, communication, so many things. In Valmiki Ramayana, a great importance is given in showing not only the beauty of nature, but the changing nature of the nature to match with the moods of human mind. We saw that Rama was told by Lakshman, this is not the time to venture into search for Srita, because that's not the right atmosphere. It's not the right time because the rain is coming. And I would like you to remain patient. And that is the reason why in the past, even many of the ancient matas or the mutts of India, they have a 4 month or at least 2 month vacation from regular routine. During the rainy season, there is no activity, there's no festival, there are no religious activity. All are expected to remain at home because of the heavy rains and continue their study or listening to Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Shravan. It is supposed to be the rainy season where you do Shravanam. So here, Lakshmana had advised, please wait. Sharat Kalam Pradikshasva. Rainy season, please bear with it. Pravrit Kaloyam Agataha. We in Sharat Kalam, the time for autumn, please wait for that. Because why? Pravrit Kaloyam Agataha. Now the rainy season has come. And listening to this, and also he said that I am not doing anything else but kindling the inherent fire in you. The fire of virya, the strength is there, but I don't want it to die away. He just said, I'm not saying don't, but wait. Many times when we wait, we will change our mind also. I remember once I had done something in my office, a project, which did not go okay. But I was not really directly responsible for what had happened. So but I was called by my senior, and he started to blame me for whatever has happened without listening to my version of the situation. Went on and on and on and on. I thought of throwing the towel and walk away. But then my colleague who was there next to me, he said, wait. No, I just want to give it back to him. He said, wait. Just wait. So with the fuming anger, I came out of the room. And then he said, you are angry? Yes. I understand. I know that it is not because of you this has happened. And he is not ready to listen to it either. So would you do one thing? You just wait for a day, and tomorrow, if you are still angry, then go and whatever you want to do it. I left the office. Next day, at the same time, I couldn't get that anger. By the time my senior had understood it was not my mistake, he himself called and apologized. Sorry, very sorry that I thought it was you who was the cause of this problem. And then my friend only smiled. See? Therefore, in our life, we may quickly take decisions mindlessly. We may think it is right at that point because that's our mood at that point, and it will justify everything. But only if we wait for for some time we realize that I could have done better. I would have reacted it differently. Instead of reaction, I would have responded it properly. So here Lakshmana's advice, pratikshasva, wait. If only we can say to ourselves very often, when a reactive thought comes to our mind, an immediate reaction that happens in our mind to say, to do, wait. Just wait for some time, and then do it. You will find that you will do better. You will find that you can change the way you do. And that is what Lakshmana did to Rama. Here he says, Lakshmanasya hitatvakyam.
Lakshmanasya hitadvakyam
Pratipujya hitam shubham.
Pratipujya hitam shubham
Raghava suhridam snigdam.
Raghava suhridam snigdham
Idam vachanam abravit.
Idam vachanam abravit
Vachyam yad anuruktena.
Vachyam yad anuraktena
Snigdena cha hitena cha.
Snigdhena cha hitena cha
Satyavikrama-yuktena.
Satyavikrama-yuktena
Taduktam Lakshmana-tvaya.
Taduktam Lakshmana-tvaya
Esha shoka-parityaktaha.
Esha shoka parityaktaha
Sarva-karyavasadakaha.
Sarvakarya-vasadakaha
Vikrameshva-pradihatam.
Vikrameshva pratihatam
Teja protsahayamyaham.
Teja protsahayamyaham
Sharatkalam pradikshishye.
Sharatkalam pratishikshe
Sthitosmi vachane tava.
Sthitosmi vachane tava
Grivasya nadinam cha.
Sugrivasya nadinam cha
Prasadam anupalayan.
Prasadam anupalayan
Upakarena virastu.
Upakarena virastu
Pratikarena yujyate.
Pratikarena yujyate
Akritagno apratikrito.
Akritagno apratikrito
Anti sattvadam manaha.
Hanti sattvatam manaha
Hidam shubham snigdam. Hidam shubham vakyam Lakshmanasya pradipujya Ragavaha. Tat hidam shubham vakyam. That most beneficial, auspicious advice given by him, Lakshmanasya. Pratipujya, accordingly listening to, obeying, Ragavaha. Suhridam snigdam idam vachanam abravit. He spoke appropriately again with a lot of love to Lakshmana back. Vachyam yad anuraktena, with compassion, snigdena, with love, hitena, keeping in mind the benefit. Satyam vada, hitam vada. Bhagavan Krishna also said very clearly in Gita, Satyam vada, please speak the right, correct thing. Hitam vada, which is useful to you, to others. Priyam vada, lovingly you say. You want to say the same thing, but you can say it lovingly. That's why he said pause. Whether you are reacting to a situation or you are trying to correct a situation, do not hurt the other person while saying or doing so. That person may be wrong, but you don't need to hurt him. Here, Lakshmana says, who am I to say to you? You know it all. Earlier also he said, no, you are a Kriyaparaha Loke. You are a great man of action, and you have Sagara Vana Achalam Pradivim Paricharyadum Sakya. You are capable of putting them upside down. So who am I to say? Saying what he needs to say, but he was pointing out the greatness of him and how he should not act like that. As Krishna did to Arjuna also. So, snigdena hitena anuraktena sattva vikrama yuktena, along with the very Lakshmanam Tvaya, along with the great amount of clarity and keeping in mind the power, the importance of the power also. And it's by one who is of that kind, a man of such strength, Satya Vikrama Yuktena Tvaya, by you, the one who is Satyameva Vikrama, to say. Your strength is your truth. Are you positively or strong by you? Taduktam, that which is spoken to you, spoken by you. And I understand what needs to be done. What? Eshaha shlokaha parityaktaha. This sorrow of mine should be given up. I understand that. Sarvakarya avasatakaha shokaha. This one which will make me incapable of accomplishing anything. By sorrow I cannot accomplish anything. I know it, that you have really pointed out. Vikrameshu apratihatam tejaha protsahamyami aham. I will take courage, protsahyami aham. Vikrameshu apratihatam tejaha. And I'll bring about such an amount of spirit and energy into that. I shall stimulate my energy, says, which is unimpeded by the occasion, on the occasion of valor. Vikrameshu, at the time of strength that is required, unimpeded by that kind of energy I will bring in. Sharat kalam pradikshishye. I will wait for the autumn season to come. Stitosmi vachane tava. I stay by what you have said, O Lakshmana, and waiting for Sugrivasya nadinam cha prasadam anupalayan. Anupalayan, waiting for, patiently, looking forward to. Who? Nadinam Sugrivasya cha. Sugriva's grace or the support is necessary, and the rivers have to slowly become less flooded. At that point only we can start our work. So you see, it must be possible, it must be sure that there are so many rivers going all over the place, which will probably stop people from crossing from one region to another region. And that's the reason why he says, with this kind of a rain and flood, etc., we cannot probably go to places. Upakarena virastu pratikarena yujyate. And it is also, he said that I will wait for Sugriva, because upakarena viraha tu pratikarena yujyate. It is appropriate for a strong person like Sugriva to fulfill his own words which he has given, and that is what appropriate for him. Yujyate akritajnaha apradikritaha anti sattvapadam manaha. If a person taken advantage of another and not paying back, akritajnaha means ungrateful, apradikritaha, not responding or giving back what he has to supposed to complete as a word of promise, that he has not stood by, then such a person, Hanti, he destroys Sattvavadam Manaha, the mind of the good people. Here also it shows that I have completed my part of my deal with Sugriva, and I am sure if he is the right noble person whom I have helped, he will surely uh, return back and then fulfill his set of the promise about sending his army to in search of Sita. If he doesn't do, it will be really hurting a good person, a noble person's heart. तदेव युक्तं प्रणिधाय लक्ष्मणः
तदेव युक्तं प्रणिधाय लक्ष्मणः
कृताञ्जलिस्तत्प्रतिपूज्य भाषितम्
कृताञ्जलिस्तत्प्रतिपूज्य भाषितम्
उवाच रामं स्वभिरामदर्शनम्
उवाच रामं स्वभिरामदर्शनम्
प्रदर्शयन् दर्शनमात्मनः शुभम्
प्रदर्शयन् दर्शनमात्मनः शुभम्
यथोक्तमेतत् तव सर्वमीप्सितम्
यथोक्तमेतत् तव सर्वमीप्सितम्
नरेन्द्रकर्ता न चिरात्तु वानरः
नरेन्द्रकर्ता न चिरात्तु वानरः
शरत्प्रतीक्षः क्षमतामिमं भवान्
शरत्प्रतीक्षः क्षमतामिमं भवान्
जलप्रपातं रिपुनिग्रहे धृतः
जलप्रपातं रिपुनिग्रहे धृतः
नियम्य कोपं परिपालयतां शरत् पाल्यताम्
नियम्य कोपं परिपाल्यतां शरत्
क्षमस्व मासांश्चतुरो मया सह
क्षमस्व मासांश्चतुरो मया सह
वसाचलेऽस्मिन् मृगराजं सेविते
वसाचलेऽस्मिन् मृगराजसेविते
संवर्तयन् शत्रुवते समर्थः
संवर्तयन् शत्रुवधे समर्थः
तदेव युक्तं प्रणिधाय लक्ष्मणः. That very thing having pranidaya, obeying to Rama, Lakshmana said, Kritanjali tat pratipujya bhashitam. And even showing respect with the folded hands, he spoke to Rama again, Bhashitam Muvacha, Ramam Muvacha, Swa Abhirama Darshanam, one who is most pleasant to look at, Pradarshayan Darshanam Atmanah Shubham. And also showing in one's own exhibiting, showing that one is they inclined to, and the inclination to pay his debt. Sorry, showing, let's say, demonstrating the correct judgment there, as it is said here. And what is that? He was, see, Lakshmana is one who is a, what do you call that, spiritual, appropriate counselor. We all need a counselor when we are in trouble. But at the same time, Lakshmana does not arrogate himself as the best. He always did that in the form of a friendly advice rather than a, what do you call it, person who directs, hey, do this, hey, do that. No. When it is appropriate, when it is necessary, when it is the time, and in a most humble way, he would show it. That's why it's a Pradarshayan Darshanam Atmanah Shubham, one's own well-being, showing it clearly. Yatoktam etat, whatever I spoken, tava sarvam ipsidam Narendra karta nachidattu vanaraha. Vanaraha, Sugrivaha, Narendraha, Naranam Indraha, the king of the monkeys, Nachirat Karta, very quickly he will accomplish that. Whatever you wanted, whatever you desire being to find out Sita. So, Swa Abhirama, Sarvam Ipsidam Yadoktam Karta. Kshamatam imam sharat. Wait for this autumn season. Pratikshaha. Kshamatam imam bhavan. Jalaprabadam ripuh nigrahe dritaha. The very the flow of the water would have to cease, would have to settle down. Ripu nigrahe, Ravana nigrahe, for the sake of destroying Ravana. Dhritaha, being firm. So because you are now waiting does not mean you are not firm on completing your task. Be firm on that. Be aware of that we need to complete. So many times when we postpone a job or postpone a work, postpone a task or a project, we seem to lose interest in that. That should not be done. Very we see that okay, today I'm tired, I don't want to do the workout. That tiredness should not lead to tomorrow's laziness also. Today I didn't do, yesterday I didn't do, so today also I think I should. I'm feeling tired. This is the mind, not the body. Same thing happens with meditation also, with the puja also, any other. See, daily routine is not merely to please anybody or condition yourself. No, it is to discipline. The mind is capable of bringing all sort of excuses to not to do certain things, especially those things which can help you to grow and which is obviously a danger to the mind, especially in this path. Whether you are doing meditation or puja, all these things are, or japa or study, all these are all meant for mind to become disciplined, and it doesn't want to get disciplined. It'll give all sort of excuse. I think you're tired today. I think you didn't sleep very well. I think you didn't eat properly. I think weather is not good. Oh, summertime you should not do this. All sort of things. So here, what Lakshmana says, even though we have postponed this program of going in search of Sita, but don't give up the firmness. Niyamya kopam, controlling your anger. Pradipalyadam sharat kshamasva. But you wait and keep your mind available for the task. Masan chaduro mayasah kshamasva. 4 months of this rainy season, we have to wait for. Vasachale asmin. Asmin achale vasa. May you live in this very pravarana. We saw that. In that very mountain, we all listen. I mean, we recite. You please recite. Samvartayan shatruvade samartaha. Mrigaracha sevite achale samvartayan. In this very mountain, which is filled with wild animals, and in this place you also roam around like a lion, one who is capable of destroying the enemy. Shatruvade samartaha. Samvartayan. While you roam around, do not give up that very focus, but we'll wait for the rain to stop. Now, obviously, Sri Rama, earlier also it is said, even though he slept on the bed or on the ground, but his mind was still thinking about only Sita. And the rainy season is an external expression of his sorrow, grief. But even though Lakshmana had told him that you should not grieve for what has happened, it is not an external kind of crying or lamenting, but a feeling of heaviness, a loss, a concern, worry, in the form of what is happening to her at this point. Though he can't do anything about it, but thinking about it, and that is like a cloudy atmosphere. mind is clouded. Though there is no action taking place, but the cloudiness of the nature is also explained as the mood of Sri Rama in this next portion. That is next sarga we'll take. Before that, Ityarshe Srimad Ramayani Valmiki Adikavye Kishkinda Kande Sapta Vimsha Sarga 27 is complete now. Satata Valinam Hatva.
Satada valinam hatva.
Yeah, a little away from the mic. It is blaring. Okay, so a little away from the mic. Sugrivam Abhishijya
Sugrivam abhishitya cha.
Vasanmalyavada Pushte
Vasanmalyavata prishthe.
Ramo Lakshmanam Abravit
Ramo Lakshmanam abravit.
Ayam Sakala Sampraptaha
Ayam sakala sampraptaha.
Samayodhya Jalagamaha
Samayodhya jalagamaha.
Sampashyatvam Nabo Megaihi
Sampashyatvam nabho megaihi.
Samvritam Girisannibaihi
Samvritam girisannibhaihi.
Navamasadrutam Garbham
Navamasadhrutam garbham.
Bhaskarasya Gabhastivihi
Bhaskarasya gabhastibihi.
Itvarasam Samudranam
Pitvarasam samudranam.
Dauhu Prasute Rasayanam
Dyauhu prasute rasayanam.
Shakyamambarama Maruhya
Shakyamambaramaruhya.
Meghasopana Panktipihi
Meghasopana panktibhihi.
Kudacharjuna Malabihi
Kutajarjuna malabhihi.
Alam Kartum Divakaraha
Alankartum divakaraha.
Sandhyaragostitaistamraihi
Sandhyaragotithaistaamraihi.
Anteshvapi cha Pandubihi
Anteshvapi cha pandubhihi.
Snigdhairabhrashtapadachetaihi
Snigdhairabhrapatachhetaihi.
Baddhavranam Ivambaram
Baddha vranamivambaram.
Mandamaruthanishwasam
Mandamaruta nishwasam.
Sandhya Chandanaranjitam
Sandhya chandanaranjitam.
Apandu Jaladam Bhati
Apandu jaladam bhati.
Kamaturam Ivambaram.
Kamaturam ivambaram.
Valmiki can never be, it's an inimitable style. Valmiki's style of expressing the beauty of the nature, beauty of the human mind, the condition of the human, nobody can compare. Of course, he is the first Kavi, Mahakavi, great poet. So nobody can beat him because there was nobody before to be compared with. Here, the Rama Saha Tada Valinam Hatva, having killed Vali, Sugrivam Abhishityacha, having made sure that Sugriva becomes the king, coronating him, Malyavadaha Pushte Vasan, living in the Malyavada Pushte, in the slopes of Malyavan, that is Malyavan is Prasravana. Ramaha Lakshmanam Abravit, he spoke to Lakshmana. Ayam Sakalaha Sampraptaha Samayaha Adya Jalagamaha. This is a time with a lot of water coming in. That is the rainy season has started. Tvam Sampashya. See this very beautiful Nabaha. Nabas, the space. Sambrudam Girisannibaihi. Covering Megaihi Sambrudam. The space is fully covered with clouds, filled with water, of course. And it's interesting, he says, this water that is there in the clouds are like pregnant women. 4 months of rain is preceded by uh, almost 8 or more months of collection. Navamasa dhrutam garbham bhaskarasya gabastibhi pitva rasam samudranam. Wow. Dyauhu. The space is, the sky is having drunk the essence of having drunk the essence of the water from the ocean with the help of the strong rays of the sun. Bhaskarasya gabastibihi, with the help of the sun's rays, samudranam rasam pitva, having taken the essence of the water from the ocean, navamasa dhridam, holding on to its stomach for 9 months, rasayanam prasude. It is giving out the rain. And interestingly, think about it. The ocean as a saline water, salty water. But when it picks up that very essence of that water from with the help of the sunlight and having taken in its own stomach in its own pregnant, it was for 9 months, and now when it is giving out, it is most tasty. Rasayanam prasude. Shakyam ambaram aruhya mega sopana panktibihi. And he looks at the sky with so many clouds, it is looking like as though these clouds are like step ladder. Sopana panktibihi, with that very ladder of the clouds, Kudaja Arjuna Malabihi, with the flowers which are born from flower garland made up of the flowers that are there in Kuta tree, Kutacha, Arjuna Mala, Arjuna tree, from there the flowers picked up. Divakaraha Alankartum Shakyam. Ambaramaruhya. Climbing onto this space with the help of the steps of the clouds, we will be capable of worshipping the sun with the garland made out of the flowers from Kuta and Arjuna trees. It is such an imagination. Wow. And we see the clouds are Sandhya Raga Uttita Tamraihi Indreshu Anteshu Api Cha Pandubihi Snigdaihi Abrapatachetaihi Baddha Vranam Ivambaram. Oh. The space apparently has come because of the heat of the previous season. It has got certain wounds. And those wounds are covered by the cloth rags. Patachetaihi baddha branam iva ambaram. And what kind of the cloth that the space has got to cover up its own wounds? With the clouds. Think about it. The clouds are covering the injuries on the space. They are very white in color. Pandubihi, Snignaihi, filled with a lot of water. Pandu, the white in color. And Sandhya Ragotitaihi Tambraihi Anteshu Api. Also, there are in the twilight light, that is when the sunset takes place or sunrise takes place, there is a copper orange color that emanated from the sunbeams, are as though is making the borderline of those clouds. It is looking like white with the bordered by orange or copper color. When you have an injury, blood is coming out, let us say, and you put the cotton and then stop it. The middle portion, it will be white, and the side portion will be orange or reddish. In the same way, he says, that is how I look at it. The clouds are covering the wounds of the space, of the sky. Mandamaruta Nishvasam. There's a very gentle breeze that is there. Sandhya Chandana Ranjitam. And Sandhya Kala is the evening time. It's Sandhya Kala, it's looking like as though the space is pasted with a sandal paste. Sandhya Chandana Ranjitam Apandu Jaladam Bhati. With the Apandu means it's Pandu is white, Apandu means kind of pale white. Apandu Jaladam. Jalam Dadadi, the clouds which are of pale in color. How does it look like? Kama Atura Ivambaram. That very condition, it looks like the space is suffering with the, the color of the sandal paste, and also with the white, pale white clouds covering it, many places, looking like as though the space is suffering out of passion. Kama Aturam. Atura suffers, disturbed by Kama. Kama Aturam Ivambaram. Such is the mind of Rama is also can be considered to be of this situation where he's thinking about Sita. The loss of Sita is bringing about some kind of anxiety to him, is his mind. Esha dharma pariklishta.
एषा धर्मपरिक्लिष्टा
Navavari paripluta.
नववारिपरिप्लुता
Iteva shoka santapta.
सीतेव शोकसन्तप्ता
Mahibashpam vimunchati.
महीबाष्पं विमुञ्चति
Megodara vinirmuktaha.
मेघोदरविनिर्मुक्ताः
Karpuradala shitalaha.
कर्पूरदलशीतलाः
Sakyam anjali bihpatum.
शक्यम् अञ्जलिभिः पातुम्
Vata ketaka gandhinaha.
वाताकेतकगन्धिनः
Esha pullarjuna shailaha.
ईश फुल्लार्जुनशैलः
केतकैर् अभिवासितः केतकैर् अभिवासितः
केतकैरभिवासितः
सुग्रीव इव शान्तारिः
सुग्रीव इव शान्तारिः
दाराभिरभिषिच्यते
धाराभिरभिषिञ्चिच्यते
कृष्णाजिनधरा
मेघकृष्णाजिनधरा
दारा यज्ञोपवीतिनः
धारा यज्ञोपवीतिनः
मारुता पूरितगृहा मारुता पूरितगुहाः
मारुता पूरितगुहाः
प्राधीता इव पर्वताः
प्राधीता इव पर्वताः
कशाभिरिव हैमिभिः
कशाभिरिव हैमीभिः
विद्युद्भिः अभिताडितम्
विद्युद्भिरभिताडितम्
अन्तस्तनितनिर्घोषम्
अन्तस्तनितनिर्घोषम्
सवेदनमिवाम्बरम्
सवेदनमिवाम्बरम्
नीलमेघाश्रिता विद्युत्
नीलमेघाश्रिता विद्युत्
स्फुरन्ति प्रतिभाति मे
स्फुरन्ती प्रतिभाति मे
स्फुरन्ति रावणस्त्याङ्के
स्फुरन्ती रावणस्याङ्के
वैदेहीव तपस्विनी
वैदेहीव तपस्विनी
घृत घर्म परिक्लिष्टा एषा, not dharma, garma. Garam means heat, the warmth. Because of the earlier season of summer where the heavy heat has been, that by the heat, garma pariklishta esha mahi. This very earth which was tortured by so much of heat, Navavara paripluta, at the present moment, new rains have come in, and that how does it look like for me? Sita shoka santapta Sita iva bashpam vimunchati. See, when we get the first rain of the season, in this part of the country there is no rain at all, that's another thing. But when the first rain comes, the heat of the earth is so much that it will get completely absorbed and you will not see any wetness at all on the earth. On the other hand, you will see humidity rising up. The humidity rising up means what? There is a combination of water and heat. So the first rain, that's called Nava. The first rain is Navavari, the new rain that comes. And when it comes down, obviously there is the heat rising up of the humidity, and that also brings about certain amount of atmospherical wetness. And earth seems to be like sweating. And that he says, it looks like to me, shoka santapta Sita iva bashpam vimunchati. The tears that are coming out of the eyes of Sita, it looks like that for me. Because after all, Sita is also born out of earth. She is none other than the product of earth. And therefore he says that it is as though Sita is crying slowly. Mega udara vinirmuktaha, this water that is coming out of those rainy clouds, karpuradala shitalaha, very cold, and also it is having the smell of the mint. Karpuradala. Karpura is camphor, but that leaf of a camphor or any kind of mint, karpuradala shitala, anjalibihi patum shakyam. You take it directly from there and drink or hold it in your hand. Vataha ketakandinaha. And also it is the air. Air is the air that is coming out of the wind that is coming out of the breeze that is coming out of during this season, which is born out of the rainy clouds coming through them, having the smell of the ketaka, and that also is so capturable by the hand, fragrance of ketaka. And so he says here, Esha Pullarjuna Shailaha, Pulla Arjuna, by filled with the flowers of Arjuna trees in the entire hill, Ketakaihi Abhivasitaha, with the flowers Ketaka, filled with those fragrance, Sugriva iva Shantarihi, Darabihi Abhishichyate. The mountain filled with the flowers of Arjuna tree, and also the rain that is coming down on the very hill, it looks like Sugriva is being coronated with a lot of holy waters. Shanta Arihi. Shanta Arihi means one who has destroyed his own enemy. Shanta Arihi Sugriva Iva. Daribihi Abhishijjate. By the waters that is being coronated. And these clouds that I see, Mega Krishna Ajinadara, this, we can see that Krishna Ajinatara having the black, like that of the black deer skin with a cloud. Dara Yajna Upobedina. You know, when it rains in the mountains, the water look kind of white strings. And the mountain itself is kind of dark in color, and it appears like it is wearing the black deer skin. And also the water line that is coming out of the rain, Dhara, they are looking like white strings. You know what it looks like? It looks like young Brahmanas wearing a deer skin with the Janoi in their body, with their sacred thread on the body. And Maruta Apurita Guhaha, and the caverns that are there in the mountains that are filled with the air passing by, and they are making a sound that looks like Pradita Iva Parvataha. Pradita Iva. Pradita means those who are students who are studying Vedas, Veda Adhyakritaha. So those who are studying the Vedas, how they are reciting those mantras again and again repeatedly, in the same way when when the air is passing by the caverns of the mountain, it looks like somebody is chanting, a group of people are chanting.
In half of a mile, left turn onto North Main Street.
Somebody is in the car, and then, so please switch off the Kashabiriva Haimibihi Vidyut Indra Vidyut Bihi Abhitaditam Antastha Nishesham Savedanamivam Varam. Kashabihi. Kasha means the lash. He lashes. So the whiplash. Kashabiriva Haimibihi. By the golden strings of waters that are coming down, having been beaten up by that, Vidyut Indrabhitaditam, and how these are whipped out because of the lightning that is coming down at the same time. The lightning look like as though with the water lashes being beaten up. Antastha Stanita Nirgosham, and keeping the sorrow of that very, very, very pain that is coming out of that, Savedanamivambaram, holding it in its own mind. This sorrow that is there in the mind, I mean, in the mind cannot be expressed. In the same way, the water slashes along with the lightning on the mountains. Neela Mega Ashrita Vidyut. Neela Mega Ashrita Vidyut, which is a blue colored, the very sky which is filled with all these clouds of water, which is gold sometimes. Spuranti Pradipati me Spuranti Ravanasya Anke Vaidehi Iva Tapasvini. It is look like how the space is filled with all these various clouds, and also the mountain which is hit by those clouds. Also the lightning that is hitting, and how it trembles. The clouds are trembling around the mountains, at the top of the mountain, and it looks like that of Sita being tortured at the hands of Ravana. How she's trying to wriggle herself out. Spuranti Ravanasyanke Vaidehi Iva Tapasvini. Constantly is remembering her. Every situation outside reminds him of her condition or his own condition of the mind. Now, earlier he was lamenting and crying to some extent. Now he is putting it as the external expression of the nature reflecting my mood here. Imasta manmatavatam
इमास्ता मन्मथवताम्
ita pradihata dishaha
हिता प्रतिहता दिशः
anulipta ivadanaihi
अनुलिप्ता इव घनैः
nashtagraha nishakaraha
नष्टग्रहनिशाकराः
क्वचित् बाष्पाभिसमृद्धान्
क्वचित् बाष्पाभिसमृद्धान्
वर्षागमसमुत्सुकान्
वर्षागमसमुत्सुकान्
कुटजान् पश्य सौमित्रे
कुटजान् पश्य सौमित्रे
पुष्पितान् गिरिसानुषु
पुष्पितान् गिरिसानुषु
मम शोकाभिभूतस्य
मम शोकाभिभूतस्य
कामसन्दीपनान् स्थितान्
कामसन्दीपनान् स्थितान्
इमाः मन्मथवतां हिताः. These imaha dishaha, these various directions or the space, as though manmatavatam hitaha pradihata, which are usually considered, when you look at the nishakaraha, the moon is always the symbol of love. And the moon is always surrounded by various kinds of planets and stars. But when it is filled with stars and the moon is so bright, you feel that it is very loving. It is a symbol of love, which is beautiful, calm, quiet, peaceful, bright moon. But manmatavatam hitaha pradihata dishaha, when there is full of rainy clouds, the space which usually will have the moon along with the planets or stars are no more. Anulipta iva, the ganaihi anuliptaha iva, as though clouds have completely covered them. Nashtagraha nishakara, with no other stars or the planets or even the moon. Kvachit bashpa abhisamruddhan varshagama samutsukhan. And at the same time, some places bashpabhihi samruddhan, as though it is crying, the entire space is crying. Varshagama samutsukhan, are also refreshed by the very water that is coming there. Kudajan pashya saumidre girisanushu, at these slopes of the very mountain, you see various kinds of flowers born out of Kutajan Pashya Saumitre, Mama Shoka Abhibhudasya Kama Sandeepanan Stinan. It is appearing like as though 14. Very interesting point, because it's a lot of comparison here. And it is looking like kindling my love to me again. Kama Sandeepana. Sandeepa is to kindle. So, oh, Sumitra son, please look at this. As though the rainfall have flowing down through the slopes of this mountain, it's feel like my love for Sita is again and again, reproduced in this way. And at the same time, at this the Kutaja rivers, Kutaja trees that are producing so many flowers are all over on the earth slope of that very mountain, and they're creating more and more remembrance of my Sita. And further explanation on the same condition of the mind of Rama will be explained by himself looking at the rainy season. This section is considered as most literature than anything else. It literary beauty of and the usage of words by Valmiki, the appropriate words that is using to explain. And as I said, he is the Adi Kavi, and therefore people later who came like Kalidasa, etc., have taken a lot of inspiration from the words of Valmiki, because the way the vocabulary is brought in, because until that point only Vedas were known, and Vedas have their own peculiar way of handling the words, whereas as a literature, how the same language of Sanskrit is used by Valmiki is most adorable for the scholars. And this section especially, explanation of the rainy season, is a very well known portion of Valmiki Ramayana. अगणित गुणगण भूषण राम आश्रित वत्सल जय जय राम अयोध्यवासी सीताराम आपद बांधव जय जय राम दशरथ नंदन श्रीराम दशमुख मर्दन जय जय राम कौसल्या सुखवर्धन राम कामित फलदा जय जय राम पाप विमोचन श्रीराम पट्टाभिराम जय राम जानकी जीवन सीता राम जय रघुराम जय सिया राम वानर सेवित श्रीराम वारिधि वंदन जय जय राम हनुमत पूजित सीता राम जय रघुराम जय सिया राम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीता राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय उमापति महादेव की जय बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय।